Hi there, welcome to Tarotland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Gemini energy. And like usual, the top row is going to be high vibe Gemini energy, and the bottom row is going to be a more worldly focused or shadowy Gemini energy. And you know, we all tap into some Gemini energy, and this energy is available for people to harness in their Gemini energy. And you know, we can either make high vibe hope and faith and belief and love. You know, high vibe Gemini is aligned with truth and love and justice and fairness and listening to their intuition to guide them. More worldly or shadowy Gemini energy is, you know, we haven't learned to do that yet. And we might still think we know best, operating from our pride and ego. And, you know, the whole thing is we've all got lessons to learn. And, you know, until we learn some lessons in life, you know, we're going to have to learn some tough lessons to learn to trust our intuition and to realize that if we want to accomplish what we want to accomplish, we should be just and fair. We should treat other people the way we want to be treated. To think we can cheat the system and still get the things that we want is an illusion. Some people might be struggling within themselves. Some people have definitely decided, nope, I have learned some lesson. I am not doing life the way I've been doing it. And they're moving forward in life differently. Some people have been in relationships with people where they had the free will choice to choose high vibe and they chose low vibe. You know, partly, you know, I say low vibe, but it could just be, I'm not there yet. I haven't learned those lessons yet. I still haven't seen the truth. You know, part of it is we haven't dealt with some of our past pain and heartbreak and self-limiting beliefs. And that's what stops us from moving forward in a more high vibe energy. But apparently it's all being staying under wraps because none of the cards are showing themselves. So we're going to get clarifiers on it. We're using the Tea Leaf Oracle cards or fortune telling cards. So we'll see what the cards say, and then we'll try to figure out why, what people are not telling people. When the cards aren't showing themselves, I just figure it's things you're keeping under wraps. You're living your life. High vibe people, we have the Bow card, you are highly thought of, and the Casket, which is turning in reverse. Someone going out of your life or the end of a situation. So basically in high vibe energy, when we have hope and faith and belief in our dreams, we are cutting some old ways of being out of our life. When we're no longer aligned with our more shadowy nature, which is our pride, our ego, our fear, our insecurity, our codependency, our more impulsive, indulgent, lustful, greedy, immature, self-centered, lazy nature. When we quit aligning with that in our life, then we're going to quit aligning with some other people in our life that we could have hung out with, and we'll kind of be aligning with a different way of viewing life, maybe just having some more hope and faith and belief in ourselves, or loving ourselves more than we had before, and calming some of our fears and insecurities, and then we put an end to some of those old ways of being. So the whole thing is, we have our worldly nature, we all have a dualistic nature, we have the knowledge of good and evil within us. I think the hardest lesson to learn is to love yourself and believe that you deserve love and to be treated in a mutually loving relationship. Sometimes you can be a loving person, but your pattern is to keep trying to get people who are unloving or unjust or unfair to love you. And eventually you realize that isn't working. I need to go find and accept that I deserve love too. So we have layers and layers of our worldly nature to shed, and we shed those throughout our life. So let's go see what's going on. I'm just going to turn the camera down and pull these cards closer. Okay. Wreath in reverse. Sorrow over a loss. But that's in reverse. So what people don't know about you is you have done this inner work to no longer be in sorrow over the past. There might be people in your life who were not being very loving, very just, very fair. They were kind of hoping maybe that they could manipulate you to not love and believe in yourself, so you'd come back and get in a relationship with them or just be unhappy like they are. But what they don't know about you, because you're not showing your cards, is that you've done the inner work, I think, to heal. Lily, a spiritual love. So I would say you're definitely connected in with You know, high vibe energy, God, whatever you want to call it, to have hope and faith and belief in your dreams. Elephant. A long journey, either physical or mental, will leave you wiser in the end. If I think you've been on that journey and your journey is about coming to an end, that you are ready to have your new beginning. The casket card reminds me of the Scorpio death card in tarot, and that talks about that when we have emotionally detached from the past and old ways of thinking and believing about ourselves and things like that, then we're ready to, and it takes a long time because we're emotionally complex human beings, to emotionally detach, but once we have, we're ready to give birth to something new. And the mice in reverse, discord among friends or family. You know, the biggest obstacle we need to overcome within ourselves is kind of like as if we, again, with this dualistic nature we have, is to get into balance within ourself so that we're at peace within ourselves. We acknowledge we have a shadow nature. I know I have fear and insecurities and self-limiting beliefs, and I can be in these shadowy ways of being. It's not to ignore that you have that. That's a fact of life. Some people ignore it, try to hide it from the world and not acknowledge it, keep it hidden. You know, we need to acknowledge that we have that nature within ourselves and offer ourselves love and compassion and forgiveness for the lessons we've had to learn, and keep like encouraging our, like being our own best mother, father, coach voice to ourselves. So our worldly shadowy nature is feeling loved and cared for and acknowledged. And we do that within ourselves to stay where our loving nature is in the driver's seat of our life, and we're taking our more base nature with us, you know. And other people can ignore that they have a dualistic nature. It's like, oh no, we have to keep that under wraps. Let's not even acknowledge we have that. Let's present ourselves as being this picture perfect person in the world. And then they never kind of deal with these issues, or they present themselves one way, but they're really being driven by their shadow nature. And it gets them in all sorts of trouble because they think they're supposed to hide the fact that they have a shadow nature. We've all got a shadow nature. Okay, tell us about the wreath in reverse. Sorrow over a loss. Okay. This card isn't showing itself because of the Knight of Pentacles. The Knight of Pentacles is Virgo energy, which is about going within to do that inner work. I'm going to go within to look at the things I hadn't wanted to see, or the things I didn't even know I needed to look for. You know, we have to go out in the world and learn these lessons, because if you're a loving, hopeful, believing person and you're driven and motivated by love and you want to be in loving relationships and deep, meaningful relationships, you've got to realize and see the truth that there's some people in the world that don't live their life like that. Some people would rather do anything than be vulnerable and run the risk of getting hurt emotionally. They might present themselves as wanting to be in a relationship, but they're really very emotionally defensive. Some people are very motivated by the world. Some people are really immature and indulgent, and they're manipulative. And some people are really prideful and egotistical. Some people are bossy and controlling. You know, and I think the high vibe people went within to see the truth, and then they come out with the Ace of Pentacles, like, oh, something I didn't realize, or I grew and matured myself and faced my own fears and insecurities. Whatever it is, the high vibe people went within and they did the work. And that's why some people aren't moving forward right now the way you are, because they didn't want to invest the time, energy, and effort it takes to deal with your own issues. And you have to be willing to reflect on the past, be willing to shed light on the things you'd rather keep in the dark, or, just it's about willing to see the truth. And sometimes it's the truth about ourselves, so we're not living in illusion and fantasy land about who we really are. And sometimes it's about willing to see the truth of other people. We can have people in our life that we wish would move forward with us, and we could love them. You know, some of them are our adult children, our siblings, our parents, our friends, a love interest, but we've got to see the truth. If they're kind of immature and impulsive, and they got to go live their own life and learn their own lessons, we can love and encourage people, but, if they're not ready to move forward and they got to learn the hard way, like we all did, they're going to go learn the hard way. If it's to admit that, I guess that person is kind of really much more materialistically driven, not love driven. Oh, that person really is really, we can be in our ego and keep saying, no, God, I'm going to make sure this person comes with. No, God, I'm going to keep working on this person. It's like, you can, but you're not going to go anywhere. That person has free will. And if they have shown you the truth, this is how I live my life. I'm not willing to move forward with you in that way. I don't view life the way you view it. I am really defensive. I'm really prideful and egotistical. I'm really driven by money, and materialism is more important. The truth sets us free. The high vibe people went within to see the truth so they can detach and move forward, accept that people are where they're at. King of Cups. There might have been someone in your life who wears a false mask, as far as you're maybe concerned. They might be someone who presents themselves as like a loving family person, like to you in the world or whoever they're in a relationship with, but they're really not. They never go within to gain insight and wisdom. It's like, if I wear this false mask and I present myself as like a loving family person, isn't that good enough? Aren't you okay with being in a relationship? Isn't that what you wanted? Was to be in a relationship with someone, and male or female, someone who presents himself as like a loving family person to the world. Isn't that enough? And you realize that wasn't enough. You needed someone who really authentically takes action from a place of love within them. The reason why the kings in tarot can be like wearing a false mask is because we all take action in masculine energy, and we can all present ourselves in the world whatever way we want. The feminine cards in tarot can talk about emotionally who we truly are inside. And you could have realized that someone you were in a relationship with presents themselves as harnessing high vibe Cancer energy, but they don't. Whatever zodiac sign they are, they could be someone who presents themselves as a loving family person, but they're really using their emotions manipulatively to maybe get people to move forward with them in a relationship, but they're not being authentic. Their motives for being in it isn't love. It's more, I'm fearful, I'm insecure, I'm codependent. This would be good for my ego or my image or my status. You should let me move forward with you. You should stay in a relationship with me. But it's a superficial relationship when someone isn't authentically themselves. They haven't dealt with their issues, so they still hide behind their ego or this false persona. And you want to be with people who've done that inner work within themselves. And you've done that work. So, the Lily card, spiritual love. And part of ourself, too, we're growing up in the world, and we really haven't done this inner work to really value ourselves and love ourselves and not be manipulated by the world, not be manipulated, letting other people basically really influence us, to know our worth and value and stand our ground on things from a place of love and respect for ourselves. It's part of the process of learning to detach from our own egoic nature to invest in high vibe Gemini Virgo energy. Which is kind of funny because when I announced the reading, I said Gemini, but then I started to say Virgo. The Magician card is Gemini Virgo energy. In high vibe, it's like, I have learned lessons in life. I have now learned lessons in all the elements. I've let my life be run off in the ditch by my heart. I've let my life be run off into the ditch because I had lessons to learn in my passionate nature, living life from my mind, making my life about the world. I've learned all these lessons. I do believe I have the resources, because we all did. We all were born with everything we needed, and at any given moment in time, we do have all the resources we need to begin to manifest our dreams into reality. We just have to get out of our head. Quit being so much up in our head thinking, I can manipulate things to get them to go the way I want, or being up in our fear and our insecurity. Let it go, life's about going with the flow, trusting that the divine has a plan for your life. You keep believing in yourself, trusting that everything happens the way it should be. Some people will leave our life, even though we wish they'd be in our life long term. they have their own journey to go on, and their own, maybe it could have been what their soul wanted to learn during this life experience, and that didn't involve moving forward with you at this point in time. So we have to get out of our head, because that's no way to live. That's kind of like living in hell. And seeing, this is the 9 of Swords. The 9s and the 10s and high vibe can be completing a cycle. And again, to see the truth. The truth sets us free. We can be in our ego saying, no, this is the way it's supposed to go. It's like, but that's not the way it is. This isn't working the way you thought it would be. Get out of your ego and see the truth so you can get out of your head about it and start putting work and effort into believing in yourself that if this wasn't it, then there must be something else that is. If high vibe and negative energy are battling in the world, and we're, depending on what people are more aligned with within themselves, the more high vibe or the more shadowy, or the more worldly, that's going to determine who we want to be in a relationship with and who we don't want to be in a relationship. Stay focused on love and justice and fairness and balance and truth, and you will be able to manifest your dreams into reality. And what you didn't know about some of the people in your life that you might have wanted to have move forward with you again is that isn't what they're motivated and inspired by. They maybe just didn't want to tell you the truth, So do not let people, that would be negative energy. Do not let people get you up in your head, up in your fear, up in your insecurity. That could be exactly what they wanted. Cool. Don't love and believe in yourself. Stay back here and be in a relationship with me where I wear my false mask and we make it more about money and materialism and status and image. Your dreams won't come into reality. It won't be a deep, meaningful, just, fair, balanced, loving relationship. But don't you want these things of the world? They've already shown you how they want to live their life. So get out of your head about it. Invest time, energy, and effort to work through all those thoughts so you can get down to the truth that I deserve to have my dreams come into reality, and I'm not codependent on that person or that job or that friendship for that to come into reality, because I believe that if they didn't pick high vibe energy, that means the divine has other people out there in the world who are in high vibe energy. And I need to quit investing in these people to go find those people. The people who are on the same page as me. Okay. Let's see. The elephant. A journey will leave you wiser at the end. The 9 of Wands, the 5 of Wands, the 7 of Cups, the Emperor, King of Pentacles, 4 of Cups, and it came out because of the 9 of Cups. So part of this whole process was to learn for you to become more emotionally independent in the 9 of Cups. And in Sagittarius energy of the 9 of Wands, to stand up for yourself. We've all got to go through these lessons in life to learn to stand up for what we believe in. And you might have learned that some people in the world aren't very emotionally independent. It's more about indulging in the world in a way. I look to other people to validate my worth and value, make me feel like I have worth and value, to make me feel emotionally stable and grounded. And they haven't done that work to be more emotionally independent within themselves. Some of those people are quite codependent. They're not willing. It's like they stay back here and they're like, I'm unwilling to budge from here. If anybody wants to be in a relationship, someone else has to be anchored in with me here. Oh no, I don't step out of my comfort zone. I don't detach from these other people in my life to be more emotionally independent from them. Well, how can you have your dreams come into reality with someone who's still codependent, like on their friend group or their family group, for their sense of, unwilling to be more independent of them and know their own worth and value to create their life with people that they might want to build a life with, like marriage and children. It's like, so you want this, but you're still really codependent and attached to those people. So basically, I'd have to be codependent and attached to those people. They would be like a third party in my relationship. They kind of take equal billing or top billing in the relationship. You're not willing to become independent of them. It's like, oh my God, I need someone who has better boundaries within themselves, who is more emotionally independent, knows how to fill up their own cup, knows their own worth and value, that they're not dependent on these other people in their life. Like, oh, I couldn't possibly detach from them. I'm really stressful and fearful of detaching from them. I don't believe in myself. I just create the illusion that I'm more stable and grounded than I am. Really, I let those people manipulate me in my fear, in my insecurity, in my ego. And you're just like, okay, I wish you peace. So from the 9 of Wands down to the 5 of Wands, that's letting go of a 4 of Wands, realizing I can't come together with you in joy and celebration because you're not aligned with hope and faith and belief and love and independent. And even though it causes me inner conflict, I can't live in fantasy land. I can't try to create an illusion that you're someone who makes good decisions, who's emotionally mature and free, when either you reject love or, you just haven't dealt with your issues from the past to take that cup of love to move forward with me. So I'm going to work through my own emotional confusion about it, because odds are we did view some people as people who we thought would make good decisions in a workplace or a friendship, that we thought they were maybe more mature than they were. We thought that the Knight of Pentacles is to become the King of Pentacles, but they have to do the work. They have to believe in themselves. They have to get out of their fears, their insecurities, to grow and mature themselves, to love themselves, to be more independent. And some of the people in our life never did that work. And it's emotionally confusing, and it does cause us inner conflict. But in an energy of taking that cup of love, that higher love, that I'm going to know my worth and value, I'm going to make good decisions in my life. I want to be in relationships with other people who don't make just decisions that are best for them, or could be bossy or controlling or more materialistically focused. I want to be with people who love and believe in themselves enough that they're willing to make good decisions for the people they're in relationship with that would be affected by the decisions they make. And it isn't just money or them or their wants and needs and lust and greed. It's about being an emotionally nurturing, loving partner who's independent of your worldly, egoic view of life, to let love and intuition guide you. And so I think you did that work within yourself and are continuing to take this cup of love, to have good boundaries within yourself, to stand up for what you believe in. And I think you've become you and other people in the world. Some of you maybe did this previously. Some of you are over here. Other people are just going through it right now. And they're kind of realizing that they're in a relationship. They have someone in their life who's still trying to get them to, and basically their own worldly, shadowy nature, because their own worldly nature tempts them to align with people in their life who basically offer them the things of the world, and to give up on their dreams and not believe in themselves. If high vibe energy is represented by God, shadowy energy is represented by the devil, and we're just dealing with the energies and playing out the parts in a way of, the devil trying to get people to align with or negative energy, trying to get people to align more with their fear, their insecurity, their lust, their greed, to not love and believe in themselves. And high vibe energy of the divine trying to get people to love themselves. Have good boundaries to your worldly nature. You have to, don't let your worldly nature and the things of the world that you want. Yes, we all know that there's things of the world that we want, but don't let those things of the world manipulate you so much and cause you so much inner conflict and confusion. You can get most of the things that you want in the world, that as a human being you want to have in the world, if you make good decisions and mature decisions in your life. To think, we are capable of like mastering our thoughts and our emotions and the actions we take in our life. If we accept that cup of love to say, you know what, I do want these things of the world and I believe I can get them, aligning with hope and faith and belief and love and acting with character and integrity. So I'm proud of myself, because our shadow nature and our worldly nature represented by the devil, if we don't do that and we keep making decisions more out of lack of self-discipline and not being more independent and knowing our worth and value, we'll keep making decisions more out of pride and ego and fear and codependency. And that's when other people in the world can try to use those things against us. Like, well, don't you want these things? I have these things. But are you willing to give up your dreams for those things? Or do you believe, you know what, I think I can get those things of the world that I want, but I need to do it with someone else who also has good boundaries within themselves. Someone else has hope and faith and belief. Someone else who's making good decisions, who's emotionally grown and matured myself. Because if I don't, I'm going to be aligning with more immature people, aligning with my more immature people in the world. And, it's like the devil lies. The devil says, oh, you can have all these things. And that's what some people in our life say. You can have all these things, but I'm not going to grow up and mature myself in the relationship. I'm not going to make good decisions in this relationship. It might be all about me and my wants and my needs. But if you want these things in the world that I have, well, then I guess you're going to have to indulge me in my shadowy ways of being. Well, are we going to indulge? High vibe people right now are saying no because they've been there enough and realized it was a little bit of hell. And they decided, I'm getting out. And the people who haven't learned that will keep repeating that pattern until they say, I deserve to be in relationships with people who were willing to grow and mature themselves, to be more independent of their shadowy nature or their egoic nature or their bossy or controlling or immature nature or codependent nature. And when we do that work within ourselves, naturally some of those people fall out of our life because they can tell that we're not the same person that we were before, and they can't manipulate us and play on our fear or insecurity or our codependency or our more immature, lustful, greedy nature. It's like, shit, come on, I'm pushing your buttons. Why aren't you doing what I want? It's like, because I realized that you were trying to manipulate me and emotionally confuse me. Before, I used to fall for it because I didn't realize that you were trying to manipulate and control me, that you could have been playing and trying to use the love that I have for you against me to manipulate me. And now I've kind of realized that that's what you do. And I'm learning to stand my ground and kind of see the truth that, you are trying to manipulate me to do what you want me to do when I've been trying to encourage you with love. So I'm starting to see that we kind of use different tactics in a relationship. I try to make good, mature decisions in love, and I see you try to tempt me with things of the world and maybe not love. And I found it really confusing because you maybe presented yourself as someone who, again, the King of Cups and the Nine of Cups, people can present themselves as being like a very loving person. And then we realize, oh, they're using their emotions manipulatively. They're really more worldly focused. They might want me to be in a relationship with them and move forward with them in a relationship, but their motive is pride or ego or image or status or want for stability or security, but it's not love. And that's where it can be really confusing to work through it. So tell us, the mice, discord among friends and family. I think the high vibe people are working through their own inner conflict and emotional confusion and loving themselves to believe in themselves so that they're not like in chaos within themselves. They've offered love and compassion and forgiveness to their own shadowy nature. So they're at a place of peace. Oh my goodness, and we had these 5 cards come out that aren't showing themselves, but it has to do. The reason is because of the Chariot card, which is Cancer energy, which is getting in the driver's seat of your life, taking the reins of your dualistic nature and say, I'm not going to let me run myself off into the ditch. I'm going to maintain balance within myself. I can love people and not indulge them in a relationship. I can love people and not talk with them anymore or have anything to do with them anymore. If they're still staying back there and in between us, we harness different Gemini energy. Oh, yours is about aligning with your worldly nature, trying to use your mind and your heart and your sexuality and your money and your looks and your charm or whatever to try to get people to do what you want. And other people are using love and justice and fairness and character and integrity and encouragement to try to get the things that they want. Yeah, we could realize that, Gemini is a dualistic sign, and it has to do with which aspect, how am I going to use my mind? Because Gemini is air sign energy. How do I use my mind? How do I use my intellect? How do I use my words? How do I, and it's basically which aspect within myself am I going to align with to believe I can manifest what I want into reality? And everybody has free will. And we realize sometimes when we get into a relationship with people that, they didn't choose truth and justice and fairness. Some people don't like to be just and fair. Some people don't want to have to speak their truth. Some people don't want to be vulnerable to love. Some people don't want to be loving. Some people don't want to act with character and integrity. Some people are just aligned with the more worldly viewpoint of life, and they refuse to look at life from a higher perspective. The most important thing is money and image and status. And they probably can't figure out why the hell you're not in a relationship with them. They'd be completely happy being in a relationship with someone like themselves. Well, they think they would. But when you get in a relationship with someone who really isn't authentic and you're being authentic, so it's kind of like high vibe people let their inner child nature out to play. They are authentically themselves in the relationship. The other people are hiding behind their false mask and their ego. And really, it kind of comes down to where we have someone who's like the official person in their life and being in a relationship with someone who's a false person in their life. They don't let their more vulnerable inner child out to play in the world. They get hurt. So it's kind of like dealing with someone who's like a cardboard cutout of who they really are, but they don't let their authentic self out in the world to play. And you end up realizing that if I keep moving forward with this person in a relationship of the 4 of Cups, I feel like I'm going to miss an opportunity in love because this person isn't operating from a foundation of love. They're using their emotions manipulatively and letting their ego run their life. Who's in the driver's seat of our life? We have this dualistic nature. Is it our more loving, hopeful, believing nature? And our shadow nature basically has to sit in the back seat. And our shadow's like, I don't think we should do that. I think we get hurt. I think those people might be mean to us. Well, we tell our shadow nature, we soothe it. Other people let their shadow nature in the front seat and their loving nature's in the back seat of their life. And their loving nature's the one telling them, I don't think we should have to do that. I think those people look loving and kind. No, they could hurt us, Anyway, high vibe people have gotten in the driver's seat of their life from a place of love for themselves. And they're emotionally balanced within themselves. The mice talks about wearing away at a foundation. When we are in inner conflict within ourselves and we haven't picked a path, I'll present myself as this way in the world, but internally I'll really be this way. Well, then we have discord within ourselves because we're not really acting authentically in the world. If we're shadowy, but we try to present ourselves as something other than we're not in the world, well, that causes discord. It's making me think of a word. Seems like it starts with a D. Oh, cognitive dissonance. About where people have this cognitive dissonance in their brain because it's kind of like, I view someone who's in shadowy energy could just not be willing to see the truth that they are kind of bossy or controlling, self-centered, egotistical, materialistic, but they don't want to see the truth of it. And so they keep thinking, if I just keep presenting myself this certain way in the world, you know, assuming everything will go fine, people will want to be in a relationship with them, and it kind of keeps not turning out the way they want. You know, it's just like, say you are abusing alcohol and you had this idea of what you thought your life was going to be like, but you keep getting DUIs and, you know, your life's kind of going a little bit in a handbasket, and it's like, it can cause you cognitive dissonance because you don't want to acknowledge that maybe I'm kind of abusing alcohol too much since I've gotten a couple DUIs, and maybe I need to see the truth that I need to either quit drinking or get a grip on it, you know? And so it's this cognitive dissonance where we think one thing should be one way or a life should be a certain way, and it's not looking like that. And it's like, these two pictures don't go together. I think of myself this way, but my life is showing me that I'm this way, and we kind of have a hard time reconciling it. Anyway, I think the high vibe people are in the driver's seat of their life, and the reason why they're harnessing these energies in a high vibe way, and the people in their life who harness these energies in a more shadowy way, they were willing to cut out of their life. When they quit aligning with that more shadowy view of life within themselves, they naturally distanced themselves and moved away, and other people moved away from them who harness those energies in a shadowy way. So we have the Queen of Wands, the Nine of Swords, the Nine of Pentacles, the Six of Wands, and the Six of Pentacles. The Six of Pentacles can talk about swapping a foundation. The Six of Pentacles is Taurus energy, and it dictates the decisions we make in our life. What is our underlying philosophy of life? And I think we all grow up in the world, and we can all get caught up in the illusion of the world. And so initially, we might be, as we kind of go into young adulthood and everything, we could kind of be a little bit more aligned. We can be a very loving person or whatever, but we can still be kind of caught up in the illusion of the world. So we're kind of in our worldly Taurus energy, which can be more about operating more from our ego and thinking that's the way to success and to align with the things of the world and work with the things of the world. And part of it might be because we have some fears and insecurities about knowing our own worth and value, and sometimes even being single, you know, and we want to be in relationships. And so then we could move forward in those relationships and get in relationships with people where we're exchanging resources back and forth, maybe even a marriage or something like that. But then we kind of realize, and we're kind of up in our head about it, because we kind of know that maybe we didn't really know our own worth and value, Nine of Pentacles and Virgo energy, that we really hadn't worked through all our fears and insecurities, that, you know, we were kind of caught up in the illusion, and we were kind of defensive of being more emotionally independent. And we did have this inner conflict, but instead of working through it, we could have just gotten in relationships and jobs because, again, we hadn't quite learned how to love ourselves. And then we get in those jobs or those relationships, and I don't know, we could feel a little emotionally manipulated, and eventually we kind of work through it where we decide, no, I'm going to become independent of this job or this relationship, and we switch foundations, and we kind of, I don't know, it kind of makes me think of a time clock ticking, you know, that we have many layers of this to go through. So, you know, we can get out of one relationship, we've learned a lesson, we move to another relationship, another job, we learn some lessons, move to another relationship or job, you know, and it's all about trying to get us in the driver's seat of our life. To be bold and brave enough where we start to listen to our intuition, that, oh, maybe part of the reason is because I have these fears and insecurities I haven't really dealt with, or self-limiting beliefs. I need to work through those and really get to the heart of the matter, that I am meant to love my worldly nature and to know my worth and value so that I can move forward, not in inner conflict. The Six of Wands moves away from the Five of Wands, which could be fighting amongst within ourselves. And I need to take that creative, inspired action to get out of my ego nature and get more balance within myself. I need to learn to self-soothe myself in a way, to maintain balance within myself, to love myself, to believe in myself. And if there's people in my life who wanted to move forward with me, where I kept exchanging time, energy, effort, hugs, and kisses with them, while they continue to operate in their ego, and they're not willing to exchange that foundation for love, well, then I need to cut those people out of my life, because I'm no longer in a mental prison about being single or knowing my worth and value or being more independent in the world. I mean, I do think I would have found it kind of hard to believe, but you kind of learn it from listening to tarot and doing tarot yourself, that there's some people in the world that really do not like being single. You know, like as if it's something that says something about their worth or value. And it's like, I think if there's nobody for you to be in a relationship with worth you being in a relationship, why would you get yourself emotionally entangled with someone, you know, or emotionally complex people? You know, we could get ourselves involved in something we definitely shouldn't get ourselves involved in. And then if someone comes around that we really should be more in a relationship with, well, I just think if the momentum of your life is supposed to be moving forward and you think, oh, I'll just go dabble in this for a while, yeah, I think you can find yourself that you slid all the way down the bottom of the hill, and any progress and momentum you were making, you don't realize. Also, what's going on that people don't know about you is that you have done this work within yourself. Also, the Queen of Wands, the Wands is about communication. You might have communicated to someone else who's single, who you think is someone who's on the same page as you. You could have communicated with them that you'd like to move forward with them, and you could, you know, be waiting to hear, but you're not getting up in your head about it. It's like, you know, all I can do is treat people with love and respect out in the world. If the people are responsive to it, they'll be responsive to it, you know, and if they're not, they're not. Okay, let's go see the end. You are highly thought of, and the casket card, the Page of Wands, and the Eight of Cups. High vibe people are getting more and more in touch with their more hopeful, believing, creative, inspired nature. And that's a process, you know? And they're willing to walk away from their illusions to be emotionally fulfilled. So the Eight of Cups walks away from the Seven of Cups right here to go towards the Nine of Cups. It's making the decision that I am going to take the action needed in the world based on the lessons I've learned, to take that cup of love, to be more emotionally independent and get in the driver's seat of my life. And I am going to look to the future and believe in myself and believe in my dreams. And the people who are doing that are communicating with people in the world that they are, you know, that they've learned lessons in life. They're no longer indulging in whatever way they had been indulging in their life, or the relationships they'd been in, or the job that they'd been in, that they're ready to move forward in life. And as some of you are doing that, there might be other people needless in your life. If not, there's definitely other people in the world who are not choosing to repeat an old pattern, and they have hope and faith and belief and love, and they could see that you're emotionally stable and grounded, that you're more emotionally independent of your fearful or manipulative or codependent or materialistic ways of life, and that you're emotionally balanced and loving, and they're going to want to move forward with you. Some will, some won't. Some of the people who won't, it's just that you know, they're still just manipulated by aspects within themselves that allow them to be manipulated by other people. You could kind of look at it that when we kind of align with our shadowy nature, you know, there's other people in the world that are happy that we are fearful or insecure or codependent or whatever, because that's how they live their life, and they're looking for people to be in a relationship too. The only thing is they don't want you to love and believe in yourself and grow and mature yourself, because they don't plan to change. And if we've already seen the truth of how they live their life and that wasn't aligned with our truth, then we wish them peace and we move on. And some people, you could be communicating with people as you're moving forward. Other people could communicate with you because they know if they don't, you're walking away with or without them. You know, you have the free will to live your life. If you're my adult child or my sibling or my parent or my friend, I'll still see you and connect with you here and there, definitely all the holidays or whatever, but I just won't spend as much time with you if I feel like when I'm in a relation, when I'm around you, that I have to be defensive because I feel like you try to manipulate me, that you're kind of maybe immature, competitive, Some people in their Gemini energy could be really smart people who just think they can manipulate people to do what they want. And then it can be to kind of mentally screw with you. So you're just confused. It's like, I don't like to be around people. Love is so simple. Justice and fairness is simple. If I'm around you and for some reason, I don't have to try to explain it to you. I don't have to try to whatever. I've been around it enough to know that it seems like you're doing something competitive or causing conflict and it's confusing. And I maybe don't play games like that. So I find it really confusing as to why you do. And I'll be like, yeah, I'm leaving. Yeah, this isn't working for me. I don't know what it is. I'm not even going to get in a conversation. I'll take it all on me. I don't know, just not feeling it. Just, no, don't know. I'm going to leave. Eventually they might get the hint that when I start to play games and try to screw with your head, you leave. I guess if I want to hang out with you for the day, I shouldn't try to screw with your head. Okay, let's go down to the bottom row. So you're doing all this. Some people are doing all this work behind the scenes. And some of you have already moved on from a situation like that. You could have communicated with someone, like I say, you're moving forward with or without people, but before you go, you're trying to get the people in your life and people that you think are on the same page with you to go move forward with you. Other people are just doing this work within themselves. And some of those people are just going to leave because they've been doing this work within themselves. And if they're in like a mismatched workplace or friendship or relationship, the people in their life don't know that they're doing this work within themselves. But if they're in a mismatched relationship, some of the people in their life aren't showing them what they're thinking behind the scenes either. But the reason for their reading is flowers, is happiness. Some people are shadowy. They're kind of more fearful or codependent or materialistic, whatever. And they have someone in their life who's loving. And it's like, this is great. I love being in a relationship with this person. An emotionally secure and loving family is important to you. It's just that they're not willing to put in the work and effort to equally be as giving and nurturing and supportive and freely give of themselves. They might be more like, I want to stay in the relationship because of the way you are. It's good for my image and my status and all those good things. It makes me look great, and it's not really from love, maybe. Let's go see. We have the tree, affairs with your family. So in shadow energy, their family tree that they're aligned with is more their worldly egoic family tree instead of their more loving intuitive nature. Broken ring, parting of the ways in either romance or business. Older man, dealings or relationship with an older man. And I read these the same way I read tarot. They're more aligned with their egoic nature, which is represented by masculine in a shadowy energy in tarot. In high vibe, it's really taking action based on truth and love. But their family, their dualistic nature that they have, is not aligning with high vibe energy. And They're more aligned with their egoic energy. So let's go take a look. Family, affairs with your family. Eight of Pentacles, Ace of Pentacles, Page of Wands, Five of Wands, Ace of Cups, because of the Star card. Yep. So here we have a Virgo energy, like right here, making an offer to someone who has that hopeful, believing nature of the Page of Wands, saying, you should stay in a relationship with me. We could have our dreams come into reality. We'd look really victorious and successful. And they have people in their life telling them that. You should stay in a relationship with me because of these reasons. And they're trying to appeal to their more immature, egoic nature and their more materialistic nature. But that person who has hope and faith and belief has inner conflict about staying in a relationship with someone like that because they want to do love. And they've been trying to encourage the people they're in a relationship with to do love, but the people they're in a relationship with have a problem about doing love. Well, that would mean I'd have to shed some of my old ways of being that I don't want to get rid of, you know? Broken ring isn't showing itself because they're hiding it. Magician. Yep. Wow. So we had the Magician up there, and now we have the Magician here. Gemini energy. You know, the high vibe people aren't up in their head about manifesting from love, but the other people are hiding that they don't believe they can manifest their dreams into reality that way. Some of the people want to get out of the relationship with the loving people they're in a relationship with because they are really motivated by the world and ego and image and status and money and materialism. And if there's someone else they can go get in a relationship with, which they're not showing the person they're in a relationship with, that I might think of getting out of this relationship because, you know, high vibe, shadowy people who are in relationships with people who love and believe in themselves that they maybe can't manipulate. Maybe they used to, but now they can't. It's like, well, shit. You know, that's how I'm used to dealing with people in a relationship. You're like being self-disciplined. For me to move forward with you, I'm going to have to get disciplined. I don't want to get disciplined. I want to go find someone who I can manipulate to get what I want. And so I think if there's any of the people who are high vibe who think, oh, no, I'm sure they'll come along. I'm sure they'll come along. Well, everybody has free will. If that's not how they want to live their life, if they don't want to grow up, if they don't want to mature themselves, if they don't want to let go of their addictions or whatever their issue is, you know, it's kind of like being in a relationship with a parent. Who wants to be in a relationship with a parent, you know? It's like, accept they're not on the same page and wish each other peace and move on. Tell us about the older man. There's that King of Cups. Wheel of Fortune, Three of Wands, because of the Queen of Wands. Yep. They're aligned. The shadowy people are more aligned emotionally with their ego, but they present themselves in the world as being a loving family person. And they think if I can emotionally manipulate people to get what I want. I don't really have to be authentic and truthful and just and fair in a relationship. So long as I present myself as a loving family person out in the world, they'll be okay with me. But this really isn't how I live my life. But so long as they don't know it, I think I can get my dreams to come into reality. So the shadowy people are trying to manipulate people who harness high vibe Aries energy. People who really do have hope and faith and belief in their dreams, who want their dreams to come into reality, bold and brave enough to do love. And they're like, I think I can manipulate you to do what I want. And you'll settle for less than you deserve because you might be kind of afraid of becoming independent from me. Because you might be afraid that maybe you won't find another relationship. You know, that maybe your dreams won't come into reality. That maybe the next person you get in a relationship will walk away from you or something. And I was willing to stay in a relationship with you, pumpkin. But it's only if I can be bossy and controlling and manipulative and whatever. It's like, kind of reminds me of that Dr. Phil always used to say that I'd rather be sick alone than sick with someone else. At least if I'm sick alone, I can heal and I can move forward. But if I've got other people with me who are sick and they're not doing the work, well, you know, then it's like lugging a suitcase, a very heavy, big suitcase. He didn't say all that. He just said, I'd rather be sick alone than sick with someone else. Tell us about the Nest card, the Lovers and the Knight of Wands. Some people are kind of immature. And they think I can use my charm and my sexuality and, you know, I don't know, my spontaneous creative ways of being or my social whatever. Because again, it doesn't matter what zodiac sign people are. It's just how they're harnessing their Gemini energy. And we all have our mind. We all have our thoughts. We all have our charm. We all have our words. You know, how are we using it? Some people are using it in their Gemini energy of the Lovers to try to manipulate people, trying to entice people to keep repeating an old pattern. Don't love and believe in yourself. Don't grow up and mature yourself. Don't take that cup of love to get in the driver's seat of your life. Make it about the world and your ego and your image. And I'll stay in a relationship with you. I'll maybe indulge you in your ego or sexually or whatever. I don't want you to love and believe in yourself and have your dreams come into reality. I'm not willing to do that. But I'm willing to stay in a relationship with you and indulge you in it. Or some of the shadowy people are willing to let the loving people go, because if someone isn't willing to indulge them in their ego or make it more about them, you know, it can go both ways. When someone's like a loving person, there's some people who it's like, yeah, I'm willing to indulge you because you're a loving, warm person. There will be a problem in the relationship though, because I might be fearful, insecure, codependent, and it's going to cause a strain on the relationship. And I'm kind of immature and I haven't grown myself up and I'm not willing to. So I'll indulge you because I want you to be in a relationship with me, but it's going to cause a problem. And other people are like, I don't care if you're codependent and immature. If you're willing to make it all about me, and they're the one in the shadowy energy, then I really don't care. Just indulge me. Tell us about the Flowers card, happiness. So some people could be really struggling within themselves right now. They might have a new job or a new friend or a new relationship opportunity, but if they move forward with those people, they are going to have to be more emotionally independent. There might be people in their life who don't like it. It might be confusing for people because they have presented themselves as maybe like everything was great and grand in their life. And if they were to leave that job or that relationship, you know, it would kind of, you know, I guess we didn't have any swords here, did we? Not really. You know, it could just be confusing to people, but, you know, everybody doesn't know what's going on in our relationships, you know. If we're in relationships and trying to make it work, you know, I think it's a good decision. Not everybody needs to know your business, but eventually, with the Knight of Pentacles, that is kind of revealing the truth, that, you know, maybe letting some people know in your life that, you know, it might have seemed grand and wonderful, and I might have always presented myself as being happy in this relationship, but really I felt defensive because I felt like I was being manipulated and I was just trying to work through it, and, you know, I could have been caught up in all the stuff, but I realize it's about loving myself and being in relationships with people who are loving. And even though I could have seemed like I had it all, it wasn't an emotionally balanced, loving relationship. It could have felt more transactional, like, well, I'll give you this for that. It could have seemed like someone was more in it for ego and image. And I don't want to settle for less than I deserve, and I'm willing, and right now some of those people are walking away from it. And with the Flowers card, the Three of Pentacles, and the Queen of Cups, some people kind of are in shadowy energy, and they want someone to indulge them like a parent would a child. I don't want to have to grow up and mature myself. I am kind of immature and maybe self-centered and competitive in the world. I don't want to have to learn to have good boundaries within myself. I think if I just present myself as being this certain type of person in the world, people should be happy with that. And they think, and it probably does work, that people do come to get in a relationship with them, and people initially could get in a relationship with them. A counterpart to the King of Cups would be a Queen of Cups. But the only thing is, one person is authentically loving in the Queen of Cups. The other person is presenting themselves as being a counterpart to them, but they're not. And eventually, if they're in a mismatched relationship, eventually the people who do harness high vibe Gemini, high vibe Cancer, I want to align with people based on an emotionally balanced, loving relationship where people really walk the talk and people are bold and brave enough to authentically be themselves in a relationship. So having a relationship with the authentic person, and having deep, meaningful relationship. And the other people are like, oh, I just try to present myself as loving so other people will get in a relationship with me. I'm really emotionally, I'm actually operating from my ego, trying to use my mind and my charm and my words and everything to present myself as being someone who's loving, to attract in someone else who's loving. So they'll be like, oh my gosh, I found my counterpart, and they'll work with me in a relationship. But eventually, the same pattern happens over again. The people could leave, and this person, they love their more worldly nature. Emotionally, the shadowy people are unwilling to detach from this way of living life, either because they love the world or they love the past, and emotionally they're really attached to the past, and they're not willing in their Scorpio energy to detach from the past. It's kind of like, oh, that's the way I love life. That's the type of life I want to live all my life. Or this is the type of life that my parents lived. I don't want to change. I want to maybe make my life all about the world. I'm very competitive. It's all about competing in the world, looking like a shining star in the world, people looking up to me and viewing me as very successful, and love really being more authentic or taking creative, inspired action in their life, to step out of their comfort zone, to listen to their intuition. No, I love what was. And even though my intuition might be telling me, that this is causing a lot of inner conflict, this is getting emotionally confusing, because when we keep resisting change, just look at all the chaos that happens in the world. When we have protests and marches and, riots on the street, part of it is, people don't do that because of no damn reason. There's people in the world that feel like things aren't just and fair, that the people who don't want it to change are the people who are probably benefiting from it not changing. And, all the different things like, oh, that everybody gets to vote and women gets to vote and people of minority get to vote, and oh, everybody should be paid the same wage for doing the same job, and, blah, blah, blah. Who is most likely to be the people who don't want the system to change is the people who benefit from the system not changing. So the people who may be, and it could be a lot of things that people have. Some people were just naturally born with being very attractive, and not everybody who's born attractive is shadowy, but some of the people think, oh, because I'm really attractive, other people would want to be in a relationship with me. I don't have to grow up and mature myself. I can hide that I try to manipulate people to get what I want. And I'm really immature and have a lot of inner conflict about being vulnerable and loving, so I'm going to try to manipulate. It's people who got money, people who got power, people who have social clout or whatever, and they've just decided, I love the way I've always done things. There's people in my life, people in the world in general, that I don't want to become independent from. I like hiding in my ego. I like being manipulative. I like being the center of attention. I like causing conflict and fighting. It might boost my ego, you know. Some people, it's all about trying to get people to chase them. That if there isn't someone chasing them, well, then that's not enough. Even if they're loving, just, fair, loyal, committed people, it's like, I don't know. That would require me to kind of grow up and mature myself. And I'm kind of in the illusion that I like people to chase me. So I do this shit to cause conflict and fighting. And the people who keep chasing me are kind of the people I keep indulging. Some of the people right now are kind of waiting. Some of them are in their ego. They're waiting to see who's going to come and indulge me in my ego. For some of those people, some of the people might have moved on, but the people they might attract could be people who are kind of immature, have some lessons learned. So that's why God uses all people for his good purposes, because people are going to learn lessons from this person being in the world. They're hurtful lessons, but we all had lessons to learn to stand up for ourselves and have good boundaries and see through the illusion that people present in the world, and to get to know people and have good boundaries with the next people who make us an offer. It's like, hey, I'm not into competing. I'm not, you know, I do work to maintain balance within myself and know my worth and value. I will get to know you, but I am not going to let go of my foundation of self to appease someone who might have some of these things of the world that I would like in my life. Even if you're someone I think I could see, like, I'd like to be a marriage partner to you or hire you for a job. If you're not all these positive traits, balanced, out of your ego, independent, more bold and brave and confident, and letting love and intuition guide you than fear and insecurity. Yeah, no, I've been there and I've done that. And I'm going to keep moving on if that's the case. Tell us what's coming up for the people who harness some high vibe Gemini energy that they might not see coming. The Seven of Swords and the Justice card because of the Queen of Wands. Well, I think in high vibe what this is saying, the Seven of Swords in high vibe means that you did listen to your intuition because you have a dream and you've given it everything. And it's been really hard because the Seven of Swords is a really difficult energy to work through because it's been confusing, and you know, you've had other people that you thought a dream was going to come into reality with, but it didn't, and it caused a lot of inner conflict. It was really confusing, but you did the work to keep listening to your intuition. And you know, it's kind of interesting with, you know, the hill and the mountain kind of reminds me of Virgo energy. To do that work, the whole thing is to be kind of the official person in our own life, to be on the stage of our own life, you know, kind of like life is a circus and we have all these challenges and obstacles to get through. But if we're not willing to give up on our dreams and we keep listening to our intuition, we will get to the mountaintop where we get our divine inheritance. But it takes work and effort. And that's why some people aren't doing it, because it does take work and effort. It's not easy. It is not easy to work through all those different thoughts and emotions and confusion and, you know, of what we thought was the dream life and what really is the dream life, and realizing that what we thought was the dream life really wasn't the dream life. And then that's confusing. And are we willing to do all this work to get our divine inheritance? And if in high vibe Leo energy, you choose to stay in life-giving energy of love and encouragement and compassion and forgiveness to yourself while you're on this journey, it will light your way if you listen to your intuition, and you will get your divine inheritance. And there will be other people who want to come with you because they see that you are balanced, that you're not being deceptive and manipulative and prideful and egotistical. And they've dealt with people who are like that. And they don't want to be in relationships with people like that either. So I think you're going to find your tribe, per se. Tell us what's coming up for the people who harness some shadowy Gemini energy that they might not see coming. Well, for one, the high vibe people in the world are calling judgment on them. Those people tempered their ego, closed out a cycle to love and believe in themselves and offer love to the past, to reconcile themselves with the past. And they closed out a cycle with people who are trying to emotionally manipulate them in a relationship because they were repeating old patterns. And they let that foundation go. So sometimes there's people in the world. Why don't people sometimes act with truth and love and character and integrity in a relationship? Because they don't really want to be that way in a relationship. And they think, I know, I'm going to do things different than that. And I bet they'll be confused and they'll be defensive. And I bet they won't love and believe in themselves. And I bet they'll come back running to me because they aren't bold and brave enough to leave me. Well, for some of those people, that's blowing up in their face. Just like some of you already left a relationship like that. For some people, they're just leaving a relationship like that. And the shadowy people could be shocked. I never thought they would love and believe in themselves to get balance within themselves. I never thought they would get out of their ego. And this person has probably been doing a lot of things to try to destabilize their foundation so they didn't love and believe in themselves. So they would put an end to loving and believing in themselves and being balanced within themselves so that they would keep staying in a relationship with them that was unstable. So for some of them, they're shocked that some people are leaving their life. But people who've decided, nope, I'm going to keep operating from my ego. Nope, I am not willing. I refuse, kind of like I'm closing out. I refuse to not operate from my ego and repeat these old patterns of the past. I'm going to keep making my life about the world, about my ego, and repeating these old patterns of the past. Why? Because they're not willing to let it go. There's, again, the truth sets us free. The divine wants us to grow and mature ourselves and give up some of our more immature, shadowy ways of being in our life and face our fears and insecurities. But there's some people that are unwilling to detach from some people in their life. Maybe a Leo, and a Scorpio. Probably because they're pretty unstable. They're not very stable and grounded within themselves. And so they align with their more emotionally defensive, egoic nature instead of putting in the work and effort to become more emotionally independent and to get in the driver's seat of their own life, to love themselves and live their authentic life. Instead, they make their life about ego. And they don't do the work on their own unstable foundation. They keep repeating these old patterns, and then these relationships keep not working out for them, or they're very unstable foundations. They might get people who are willing to work with them, but it's repeating the same pattern. If we're not operating from love, people could be in the relationship because of fear, insecurity, pride, ego. I'm used to dealing with people who are prideful and egotistical, but eventually, people either learn to love themselves and leave, or someone else, if you're only in the relationship because of money and materialism and status and image or whatever, if you find someone who's willing to indulge you more, then they go get in a relationship with someone who's willing to indulge them more. Some of them, they might get in a relationship with someone who really does completely remind them of someone from their past, which could have been someone they dealt with when they were young or as a child who really had a problem with offering them love. And they haven't freed themselves from that to love themselves. I don't need you to love me. I don't need people who are like you to acknowledge my worth and value. I see you're conflicted about love. I see you're defensive to love. I accept that. I will love myself. I don't need to get someone like that to love me. They might get in a relationship with someone who really reminds them, because the divine wants people to see the truth. Why aren't you doing love? Why aren't you living your authentic life? Why aren't you free? Why are you imprisoned and enslaved and oppressed? What is it you're not seeing? And the divine might bring in someone who really reminds them of someone from their past subconsciously. And when they're repeating that past relationship dynamic over with someone who really seems to be like that person, that could be the thing to finally break them free. Like, oh my gosh. And they see the truth. But, people can resist seeing the truth no matter what. So that's why we can't hold our breath for people like that. We just wish them peace and we keep moving forward, because people can freely choose to stay in prison and confined. Because for some people, it could have something to do with their whole family or how their family acts or something. And some people could be very kind of prideful and egotistical about their family, and they're unwilling to admit they're fallible human beings. Like, yeah, that person was a little manipulative. That person was kind of controlling. That person kind of might have gotten in a relationship more for the status and the image. If they've taken such pride and whatever, and maybe they, even in their family, it was kind of to cultivate this thing of how wonderful we are and blah, 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 and nobody could ever see the truth, but it was all like an illusion and a facade, and it really wasn't based on love, and it really was more superficial and shallow, it could completely devastate someone. It just would be a shattering of their whole, and depending on how much importance they give that, instead of being willing to see the truth that, I just see through the illusion. This person was kind of motivated by that. This person was kind of motivated by that. And then because of this, everybody was, kind of was going on in the illusion, and there was probably a lot of good and happy times. By worldly standards, it probably did look wonderful, but was it based on truth and love, or wasn't it? And, until people are willing to see the truth, they'll stay in denial. So there you go, Gemini. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.